Welcome to Subramani. Risk and volatility is something about which I have spoken quite a lot. In fact, I have a whole playlist on risk. But still it keeps coming up regularly. People don't understand the difference between risk and volatility. So let me give you a very simple example. You're traveling from Mumbai to Delhi by air, and there is fluctuation in the price in the plane, right? There is turbulence, let's put it, to use the correct word. Are you worried? Yes, most people would be worried. Are you paranoid? You should not be, because turbulence is common in the aircraft, happens with every flight, or rather many flights. If 5 million flights take off, it might be happening in 1 million flights, right? So 20% of the flights. But how many flights crash? How many planes crash? Your risk is crashing. Your worry is the fluctuation. The volatility worries you, but you have to only worry about risk. Now let me explain in mathematical terms what it means. You have invested in some equity, you have invested in some debt, you have invested in mutual funds or whatever, and the price fluctuates. That is volatility. What is risk? Risk is you're a man, you have you bought a house, you're paying an EMI, you have a young child, and your wife is pregnant, and doctor has advised bed rest, right? This is the situation. Your wife was also working and she was earning very well, so based on the combined income you committed to a EMI, which is a stretch. You wanted a 2 BHK, you bought a 3.5 BHK in more or less the same location. You spent a lot on the interiors, you took your annual vacations, everything happened, and a terrible time, and you lost your job. Now what has happened? Two incomes, out of which one was voluntarily given up because your wife said, yes, my health condition is not so great, so I will be taking off and I will not be able to support. But you were very confident that with one income you will be able to pay the EMI, etc., etc., etc. Now you can't. That income has gone to zero. So now you have two choices. You have to look for a new job, and for a new job you want to give up this house, or you decide to give this house on rent and move back with your parents. Not that your parents are very well off, not that they have a big house, they have a 2 BHK, but 2 BHK, which means the three of you, right, including the unborn baby, 4 of you are going to live in one room, because that is what your parents can spare. They have one room, and if your sister comes for a vacation, there's no place, right? This is risk. Risk is having to cut down dramatically on your lifestyle, having to do some of these things because you were not anticipated some of these changes, and this happens pretty regularly. I've seen people with 20 years experience saying, if I don't get my annual bonus, I will be in trouble. If I don't get salary for 2 months, I won't be able to pay my EMI. These are people with 20 years experience, not wet behind the ears 22-year-olds. These are 45-year-olds, right? So this happens quite regularly. So risk is not being able to meet your goals. Volatility is what happens regularly. Now, typically in a risk questionnaire, there will be one stupid question saying, how do you feel when the market goes down? How is somebody supposed to feel? This is as stupid as the TV compare asking a person, your son has just died in an accident, how do you feel? How were they supposed to feel? All of us who are long on equity will feel bad when the market goes down. Then the next question is, what will you do? Will you invest more? Will you just stay there and not bother? Will you be worried to death, or will you pull all money out? What will you say? Because of thinking about an event which has not happened is very difficult. So when you go and meet a businessman and you say, what is your risk-taking ability? And if it's a young 22-year-old girl asking him this question, he does not want to look stupid. So you will say, हाँ मैं तो risk ले सकता हूँ. And then you probe a little bit because of experience and all that. आप बोल रहे हो ना, आपका business कैसा चल रहा है? And suddenly he will tell you so many problems in his business, that payments don't come on time. He says 20 days credit, but people actually take 110 days credit, and some money is written off. It's the cash flow is lumpy. He's got a product which he is selling. Earlier he was also doing a service from where he was getting money, but that service is not. So which means here is a business which is not doing very well, the margins are not too great, the cash flows are lumpy. What the hell is he saying? He is saying that he has no risk taking ability. What did he tell that girl in your office who filled up the questionnaire? Oh, मैं तो बहुत risk ले सकता हूँ. What he thinks and what he says are not connected. You have to go by what he says about his business and all that. So if his cash flow is lumpy, and he does not have term insurance, it does not mean he is taking risk, it just means he is being foolish. Now when you start investing for such a person, you realize that he has to have a lot of money in debt, because in case his business fails for whatever reasons, he should be able to pull out. Second, far more importantly, his main line of business itself is risk. He is in business. Versus a professor who is teaching in IIT, who is assured that he will have his job till his age of 68 and a pension after that, assuming he is old enough for that, right? So that person's ability to take risk is actually higher. Intuitively you know this, but what he or she fills up in a questionnaire can be very different. So you need to understand that there is risk and there is volatility, and the person's ability to take risk. First of all, the willingness to take risk. The stupid businessman whom we met says that he can take risk. Actually he can't, but he has willingness to take risk. Second is the ability to take risk. What happens if I take risk and the market goes down? Do I have the ability to look after my family? Will my husband earn? Will my wife earn? Whatever those questions. Is the cash flow enough? Have all my loans be paid off? If I am earning 100 rupees, am I spending just 10 rupees? Then I have greater capacity, greater resilience, right? And third, the need to take risk. What about an 80-year-old who has got 5 crores in assets and whose annual requirements are 5 lakhs, which means he requires 1% of his assets is 80, maybe another 10 years. So 5 lakhs into 10, 50 lakhs is his expenses. You double it for inflation. All that he requires is 1 crore for the rest of his life. So anything beyond that, he can take risk. So the need to take risk is zero. Right? So willingness, ability and the need to take risk will decide his portfolio, not just the tolerance for volatility. Maybe he's not bothered too much about volatility. Now if you are a regular traveler by plane, you're just sitting and watching the turbulence, and the person next to you is a youngster or an oldster and he is rattling off Hanuman Chalisa loud enough for the whole plane to hear because of the volatility. Now what happens is, you have learned to handle volatility. You know there will be turbulence. You know if there is too much turbulence, the flight which has taken off from Bombay will land in Ahmedabad for some time, then refuel, and then it will fly off. So instead of reaching Delhi in 2.5 hours, you will reach Delhi in 5 hours. That's okay. So similarly, what you do is you create a portfolio which is well diversified. You maybe include debt, you include equity, you include gold, you include foreign assets. You create a portfolio and you keep looking only at the total portfolio. Don't look at one component and say, oh, this component is doing very badly. People do it even to their total portfolio. If their total portfolio is outperforming the index, they are not happy with that. They will pick up something and say, ओ सन फार्मा अभी नहीं चला है और भारती एयरटेल आपको क्या लगता है? बॉस, all this is part of your portfolio. Some have already performed, some are likely to perform in the future. If you are taking a view that it should not be there in your portfolio, that's a completely different thing. But don't worry about each component on an hourly and a daily basis. Does not make sense. You have thought something, you have created a portfolio, and that's fine. You bought NTPC at you bought Bharti Airtel at 530, now it is 518 or it is 548. There is no reason to be buying it or selling it, right? You thought you're going to buy it for the long run, just stick on to it. Does not really matter. I mean, Bharti is just an example that I'm giving you. Could be Zomato, right? Anything. So what do you do? So there are simple steps. You create a largish portfolio of number of things which are there. So you have some equity, you have some debt, you have some gold, maybe you have some REITs, right? You do this. After creating the portfolio, you do an SIP and you say mindlessly, brainlessly, I will keep investing. This is to control you during good times and bad times. Of course, there are some fund houses which used to have something called value SIP or something. Now there are newer terms for it where it says when the market is low they will put more money, when the market is high they will put less money. Whatever you choose, whatever happens, make sure that you don't stop your SIP, because the SIP is to stop you from doing bad behavior. It's more psychological, far more psychological and cash flow, rather than saying, oh, SIP will create more wealth than lump sum. There is no such evidence at all. In the bull market, your SIP can look like, oh God, why did I not do a lump sum? And in the bear market, your SIP can look very smart and say, thank God I did not stop my investing. That's all. It's as simple as that. It is more to do with your behavior than to do with averaging or whatever it is called. So learning to manage volatility and risk is your job. I've already said how you can manage volatility, and the more you learn, the more calmer you get. If you have taken 400 flights in your life, turbulence does not really worry you. But if it is your first flight, yes, you will be rattling the Hanuman Chalisa. You cannot stop it. Your learning has to happen with your own experience. Your learning cannot happen with my experience. I can say I sat tight in March 2020. Actually, March 2020 and April 2020, I was adding to my portfolio. And I have definitely benefited by doing that. But I have also sold portions of it, saying that's too much. If I'm getting 20% in 3 weeks, that was a fantastic return, and I had to book some profits. Some I held on where I benefited, some I held on where I benefited dramatically. So all these things happen, but my experience is mine. You have to build your portfolio on the basis of your experience, right? So these are the steps, just follow them. Thank you.